Welcome to Your Health Moment. I'm really happy that you came back to hear us because today we have a really exciting guest. It's Cam Allen. Um,
Hello.
wow, look at that. Now, Cam is a former CrossFit athlete and a coach. She is into integrated nutrition, health, and fitness. And her coaching specializes in midlife fitness and metabolism. And as we get older, um, our metabolism changes. What we need to do for fitness and changes. And Cam teaches women how to revamp their fitness and their routine so that they can include strength training and make lifestyle changes that will improve their overall health and improve their energy throughout midlife. So this is a huge deal. There's a large population of women that have gone through this and are lost. And when you have a trainer like me and most men, it's really difficult for us to properly support you because we can't really relate to a lot of things that are happening with the changes in your body. So fortunately for you, there is Cam Allen, and she's going to give us some information that's going to totally help you if you're struggling with this, to know what to do. So without further ado, thank you, Cam, for joining us, and welcome.
I'm so glad to be here. Yes, I feel like the menopausal stage of life is an underserved population, and most women go back to what they used to do when they were 20 and 30. And when they do that, it just doesn't work anymore. So it's like, what the heck's going on with my body? And why is my body changing so rapidly, even though I'm doing all quote unquote the right things? So I'm glad to be here.
Wow. So what's been the history when it comes to midlife changes for women in their fitness that made you decide that this is going to be an area that you think it's really important to tackle?
Yeah, so my story, I CrossFitted my way through my 40s. I left the classroom and I actually went through a separation and divorce. So I went through a lot of stuff in midlife, and exercise was my way to escape all the stuff that was going on in life. Little did I know I was exercising beyond my body's capability at the time. I was overreaching, probably undernourishing. I probably was undereating and overstressing myself. And at the end of my 40s, at age 49, I had a complete hysterectomy, which meant they removed my uterus and my ovaries, which means I was no longer making my hormones that were letting me do the things I was doing in my 40s. So one day I had hormones max, and then the next day I
Hey,
didn't.
man, wow.
And so once I
Like
recovered,
instant.
instant.
Wow.
Yeah, and so most women go through like to a 10 to 15 year like retirement party of their ovaries, and it's kind of like not so obvious what's happening, and then one day you're like, what happened? But it's kind of sneaky. My situation was like on and off. And
Wow.
so I'm grateful for the situation, so very I very much understand what happens when we lose our sex hormones.
Did they prescribe replacement hormones for you?
Well, the first 6 months, no. So
Oh,
no
wow.
Yeah, it was really rough, let me tell you. So I no progesterone because she said I did not have a uterus, so I didn't need it, which is false. And second, she gave me oral estrogen. So the doctor who did my surgery was not holistic thinking at all, and I really gave all my authority away to her, and I thought that this surgery was going to solve all my problems. And actually, it created a whole new set of problems and a whole bunch of solutions. So
Wow. What were the signs when you knew initially that, wow, there's something going on that I needed to go to the hospital? Were there warning signs that just bing, bing, bing? And did any of those signs have to do with your experience being a really great fit athlete? How
I
did
think
you tie that in it?
I think at the end, like there was an 18-month period at the end of my 40s, and things were happening rapidly. I was diagnosed hypothyroidism, classic symptoms. I was always cold, dry skin, losing my hair, gaining unexplained weight, like caffeine wasn't working anymore, like all the things. That was like my first diagnosis. Other things at the end of my 40s, like slow recovery was certainly one, very strange injuries. Um, if I went too far, I'd be exhausted. I was just tired. Like my recovery really slowed. And at
Okay.
the end of that, it ended up fibroids was the reason why I had the hysterectomy. And I thought that was the only solution to fibroids, which is not true. But at that time, my limited understanding, that was the solution.
Wow. And so since then, what is the understanding that you have today?
Well, after the 6 months of not being on the bioidentical hormones, I started that. I found a doctor in my area that like heard me and listened to me, and that was a game changer for sure. And then since then, when I tried to return to CrossFit after having surgery and after getting on the right hormones and I was healed, for a minute I thought, well, I just need to heal longer. Like that's the reason I can't do this exercise that I've always done. And it became very obvious that my body was dramatically different after menopause. It was a day and night situation.
Oh, and it's funny that you say that because first of all, CrossFit is an incredibly demanding exercise routine, and I believe there's a lot of room for injury, particularly if you're going racing against the clock.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, so that in itself is like, wow, it's pretty tough. So to have other issues like, the hormone changes impacting it, I can only imagine, what that experience would have been like. So lack of energy was one of them, and just not able to perform on the level that you were used to. And I guess you could tell in CrossFit because you probably have timed exercises in the past, and then you compare them to what you're doing now, and you can see, you've definitely been impacted.
Well, and I call it the go button. And I always had a go button. I had the ability just to go there. I've never redlined myself or made myself sick, all the crazy things you hear about CrossFit. But I had a go button and I could get there and I could do the thing that I needed to do. And literally it was like pushing on the gas pedal and the gas tank was empty. It was very interesting. The other thing that I noticed after my hysterectomy and once I was in menopause, if I went too far, it was different. Like it wasn't anything like it was before. But if I did go too far, I was exhausted for days. And then I would be on the couch and then I wasn't even moving or I'd be really sore. So like things dramatically changed once I hit menopause. And I think that's the message. I think women don't understand that this is happening. It may be happening slowly over 10 to 15 years, like I mentioned. And then all of a sudden it happened. And you're not sure. It sneaks up on you. But my experience was not. It was day night.
Wow. It was great that you found a holistic practitioner to turn to. Now, what was your process like finding that holistic practitioner?
Yeah, so there's a few places I would suggest if women need help. Menopause.org is an amazing website. In the upper right-hand corner, you can search practitioners in your area, doctors that have actually been trained in menopause, because many doctors have not been trained in menopause. So that's one. Second, you could go to like a local compounding pharmacy. Compounding pharmacies are pharmacies that mix bioidentical hormones for women. And talk to the pharmacist. My experience was amazing. He sat down with me for 30 minutes, looked to me eye to eye and said, these people are prescribing these hormones. So you can kind of reverse engineer, like who are the practitioners in your area that are providing hormones?
That's a great.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's a strategy I never would have even thought, because in my mind, I think that pharmacies don't really divulge that kind of information about which doctors are prescribing holistic stuff.
He was amazing. He was absolutely
fantastic.
amazing. Yeah. And then you can cross-reference. In the one I'm thinking of in my area, I live in Northern Kentucky outside of Cincinnati. She was on both lists. And I was like, okay, good. And then my third strategy is I knew that there was something called the Dutch test. It's a dried urine. It's a comprehensive hormone test. And you can also go to their website and who's been trained to read and understand these labs. That's another way to kind of like cross-reference. Who can I go see?
Oh, that's really amazing. I mean, so that's really helpful. So now you know how to find a practitioner. Mm-hmm. I would have never imagined going to compounding pharmacy route to actually find but that's like wonderful because you line yourself up with a really good pharmacy as well as a really good practitioner.
Absolutely.
So,
It worked
kill
out.
two birds with one stone.
Right.
So
And
to
then if
speak.
these people are showing up on multiple lists, you're like, okay, follow your instinct. That's another lesson I learned about being in menopause. Trust your instinct that you really do know what's best for you. I gave all of my authority away to this really young doctor who did my hysterectomy surgery and believed that I could take oral estrogen and I didn't need progesterone, even though when she told me that, I just said, this doesn't feel right. And that's when I started my search. And I went back to school because I was like, I've got to learn more about this. Now that my body parts are removed and I'm in this new phase of life, I need to know everything I can about it.
And so that's where I'm assuming you shifted to then begin really helping other women because, I mean, it's just not, the information doesn't seem to be as readily available as you would think.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it was. So I tried to return to CrossFit when I was in menopause. It didn't work. So then I started writing my own programming. I had experience doing that. I've been in the gym for a long time. And it started working and I was able to exercise again and not be exhausted. I felt confident and empowered and not frustrated and sad and all the other things that were happening before. Yeah, so that's exactly what happened. I made the switch and I'm like, okay, how can we exercise and support? I'm like, muscle is the biggest deal that you can do as far as, I'm sure you agree with me on this.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah. Muscle is your organ of longevity. And so how can we build muscle and not be exhausted and on the couch? That was trying to find the balance.
Now you've been a coach, you've been a nutrition, a health coach, and a fitness coach. Did you feel that there were any changes necessary to your diet as well once your hormonal system has changed?
Yeah, I would say this is the way I like to explain it. So estrogen is a very protective hormone. It protects you against stress. It's anti-inflammatory. It helps you build muscle, all the things. And it's very protective. In menopause, you lose your estrogen. It's at its lowest level. So where you were on a mile-wide road and you could get away with the things that you did when you were 20 and 30 and it didn't impact you as much, it's a very narrow road now. When you're in menopause, the bumper lanes it's like a little tiny path. And so you really do have to watch as far as eating whole real foods is really important. Getting your micronutrients and eating enough protein, all those things that you could get away with when you were younger, you just can't get away with that anymore. If you want to live optimally, if you want to have energy and feel good.
That's a great tip. So tightening up on your food is just naturally one of those things that it's really important to do as you get older.
Absolutely. And if you do it for a minute and then you step back into, eating something sweet for breakfast and you feel horrible all day, then you know what you were feeling like. You know the difference between, feeling really amazing and having energy and not. There are two hormones I like to say in menopause that we can control, and it's cortisol, like our stress. How are we thinking about stress? What is our plan for self-care? And the other one is insulin. So it's our food. How is our body responding to the food? Blood sugar is a really big deal. So those are the two hormones I really like to help my people understand, and that you are in control of those things. You can have.
Oh my God. That's great. Now, when it comes to other replacements, has any of your physicians mentioned anything about different peptides that you may need?
I have not explored that. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that.
It's, there are different types of hormones, like growth hormone sometimes help, but
Right.
It was really neat though. But I'm sure your guys are amazing. So this has been, I've learned a lot already from
Awesome.
Spending this time with you. And I hope everybody else is picking up on all the really great things that I am. Now it's about sharing it. Have you finished a book yet that you're really getting out there into the world and doing this and sharing all of this great insight and information?
Yeah, so a book is maybe on my list. I think I could tell a very humorous story about my whole surgery and going into menopause, but it's up here still. So what I offer to the world is I have a free like week of like, what does menopause fitness look like? What does it feel like? What are the dial movers? And so I have a group called Move the Dial, and then I have a free Jumpstart Academy to get people started.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
And they can do it online with you. And and you take the course, coach the course online?
Yes, it's all recorded. So the reason why I coach the way I do, I don't coach in person anymore. I did for many, many years. When we're in menopause, we need more rest and recovery in the workout and the days between the workout. And so actually everything's recorded and you can go at your own pace. In fact, that's really beneficial to most women. Like I don't have to keep up with the instructor. So you can go at your own pace.
Oh, fantastic. Is there anything else that we missed that you think it's vital that we share?
I really want to emphasize the importance of having muscle. Do whatever it takes, making sure that you get your strength training in. My protocol, if you will, the Midlife Muscle Protocol, is strength training about twice a week, your whole entire body, both times, with extra rest between. So like one thing that I notice, women that are doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that might actually be keeping them stuck. They may need to do like Monday, Thursday. Those 2 days not strength training, we actually need more time to recover in menopause. So that's like a really easy thing to do is spreading out your workouts. And when you do work out, make sure you're lifting as heavy as you can with the best form that you can, because that's how we're going to grow our muscles. And then in between our workouts, the rest is how they actually grow, rebuild.
Wow. So thank you so much. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate you taking this time and covering this important information. And how can people reach you, Cam?
I'm on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, I guess. It's Hey Mama _ Cam, CAM. Yeah, so you can find me on the socials.
Oh, fantastic. And if you missed any of this, we have Cam's information on the show notes. So you just go to the show notes and Cam's contact information is going to be there. So Cam, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you being here. And where in the country are you?
So I'm outside of Cincinnati in northern Kentucky.
Oh,
We're Bengals fans up in this neck of the woods.
yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely good luck, Bengals fans.
Yeah.
Football day.
Yep. Well,
And thank you again for joining us. And remember, if you are a woman and you're reaching that time where your body is starting to change and you're not sure if your fitness program is doing what you need it to do, Cam Allen is the person that you need to reach out for. So remember this podcast.
thank you.
And definitely get in touch with Cam. And she has a great course for you. And that's where I think I'm going to leave it. Thank you for
Awesome.
listening. Thank you, Cam, for joining. And everyone, God bless.
Thank you so much. Thank you.